everyone, my name is Elsie and I'm excited that I just completed a 15-week journey with the CTL Africa.
There is a popular saying in leadership that if you think you're leading and there's nobody following you, you are only going on a walk. On this platform, you are going to learn principles of leadership. You are going to encounter different leaders. You are going to learn about how you can grow as a leader, how you can make an impact. My name is Samuel Eyim, and I'm the host for the leadership platform. I am a leadership coach, a lawyer by profession, a John C. Maxwell certified coach. I have been in corporate life in senior positions for several years, and now I run the Center for Transformational Leadership, where we train and coach leaders to become better leaders. And I invite you to go on a journey with us as we discuss the subject of leadership in the coming weeks.
This and every Saturday, you have opportunity to ask questions, share your views on important leadership matters.
Hello everyone, my name is Elsie and I'm excited that I just completed a 15-week journey with the CTL Africa team on the 15 Laws of Invaluable Growth by John C. Maxwell.
From the law of pain, I also learned that every problem introduces a person to himself. Honestly, till you face a problem, you wouldn't know the things that you actually have within you.
The journey for me personally was a wake-up call. Before I joined this journey, I wasn't actually learning at all. I wasn't adding any logic to what I knew.
So the law of trade-off is saying that you have to give up to grow up. So things that I think are not going to have maximum impact on my life, I have to trade them off.
I want to grow. I am not stopping now. I am continuing. And as far as I'm concerned, like it says, you cannot give what you don't have. I definitely will have to give what I have learned off to others and then get more so that I can continue giving. I am not going to be a reservoir. I am going to be a river, and therefore I'm going to continue learning to be able to give of my best.
Ordinary people can achieve extraordinary results on a consistent basis if they have a system, if they have a plan.
Navigating through life without a coach or a guide can be very deceiving. Navigating through life without a coach or a guide can be very deceiving, making you come to think that you have achieved the highest or the best you can ever, or you have made the best of decisions. But until you become very intentional and take a good stock of your life, you would not realize that it's a mistake.
Pain helps you to come out of your comfort zone.
The law of intentionality and the fact that learning is a lifelong journey if you want to be significant. Emphasis on significance.
Previously, I used to be very unintentional about the things I do when it comes to my family, my work, my Christian life, and basically everything that I do.
In the pursuit of that growth, there are gaps. There are gaps that we need to conquer. These gaps include the knowledge, perfection, mistake, inspirational, timing, and assumption gap.
And I will encourage you to be part of CTL Africa's 15-week growth journey.
I encourage you all out there who need to live their life to be part of CTL Africa's growth journey.
Please take advantage of this program and your life will never be the same.
Thank you very much, CTL Africa, and continue to impact the world. God bless.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Leadership Platform. Once again, this is CTL Africa bringing you lessons on leadership on this Saturday night, and we want to thank you all who have made it to join us. So go ahead right now if you are connected to introduce yourself. Also, go ahead and announce yourself to the world and invite your friends, invite your colleagues, your bosses, your church people, everybody interested in leadership to join. And also invite your lecturers, your teachers, your fellow students, those of you in schools, because today's subject is very interesting and is going to touch on education, academia, the teachers, the students, and how they have a significant role in leadership. We are going to talk about academic leadership today. And so we want to encourage all of you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to like our Facebook pages, and to please share the link with other people, invite people into the room, and let us all learn together. So let me see who is here for now. Let me see. I see Thomas Agre. He says, great work. May the good Lord bless you all. Amen. Thank you so much, Thomas, for being the first to introduce yourself. Please go ahead, those of you who have connected. Her Ladyship Cynthia Martinson is on the line. Thank you so much, Justice of the High Court, for joining us. Dennis Ahe joining us from Sakumono. Good to join once again. Thank you, Dennis, for coming once again. All of you, the rest of you who are joining, we know that many of you join, but you don't introduce yourself. If you don't introduce yourself, we don't know that you are there, or we don't see you, but we know that many of you join. You just want to learn. You don't want the world to know you. But it is our honor to introduce you to the world. So please go ahead. I see Benjamin Ejesiao, who has joined also. I see Naumu Al-Hassan. He says, good evening, Mr. Ayum. This is Al-Hassan Naum joining from Alajo. Thank you so much, Al-Hassan. Clement Kwame Sechin is here from Kumasi. Tete Junior Anthony, we see you. Anthony from Kita. So we're getting all the regions represented so far. So let's see the rest and let's go on. In the meantime, please go ahead. We have the fifth cohort of the growth journey, which is running right now. We want to encourage you. We are able to run a power programs. If you are interested in the growth journey, let us know. Register. The links have been put in the chat. So go ahead and register. The growth journey is a 15-week journey where we take you on a journey of growth and help you to be intentional about your personal and professional growth. We don't want you to leave your personal growth, your professional growth to chance. If tomorrow is going to be better, it will depend on how you grow today. So we want to encourage you to take your growth intentionally and seriously, and we want to help you on that journey because many of us don't know how to grow. Many of us think that growth will come automatically. Many of us are wondering, what do we do to grow, to become a better person in whatever field you find yourself? So we want you to take up this opportunity and sign up. Many professionals, bankers, accountants, architects, lawyers, and pastors, teachers, business people, entrepreneurs have signed on, and they have benefited quite a lot. So on that note, I want to move ahead and introduce our speaker for the day. Let me see who else is here. William Darfur is here from Tema. Emmanuel Atichogbi is here from Oti region, and we are grateful for all of you. Now, to this, as I said, this evening we are going to talk about academic leadership, and we have a very well qualified person to lead this discussion for us. We have Professor George Kofi Amoako, who is going to lead us. And because he's going to talk about academic leadership, but he's not just an academic, he has a lot of background, both in academia, in industry, in life, and so on and so forth. But for the purpose of this, he has a BSc from KNUST, MBA in marketing from University of Ghana, PhD from London Metropolitan. He's a chartered marketer, and Prof is an associate professor and the director of Directorate of Research, Innovation and Consultancy at the Ghana Communication Technology University in Accra. He has an associate professor since the 1st of March 2020 and currently lectures at the marketing department at the GCTU. He has also lectured in the Central University, Lancaster University, Webster University, Academic City College, and the University of Professional Studies. You can see that Prof has a lot to share. And I'm just going through his background, his profile. It's a lot of things. Guys, I just want you to go on our website, just click the link and see all that Prof has done. As John Maxwell would say, if you are good a long introduction, you don't need a long introduction. And if you're not good, a long introduction will not help you. I mean, looking at Prof's background, we don't have to give him too long an introduction. He's an accomplished professional, written a lot, done a lot of research, supervising PhD students, teaching and making people, training people at the highest level. And so this evening, we want Prof to share just a bit of his ideas with us on how teaching and learning can impact leadership, the role of teaching, learning, research, academia, and their impact on leadership, and help us so that we as leaders can have some of these principles that are applied in academia, even in our own day-to-day leadership. So on that note, I have the singular pleasure and honor to invite Professor George Kofi Amoako to join us on the leadership platform. And Prof, we are very grateful that you made time. We contacted you a bit quite late, but because you're a teacher, always ready to teach and share knowledge, you are willing and happy to be with us. So we want to thank you and invite you and give you the floor. You take us away. Prof is going to be with us for 1.5 hours. And as I tell you guys all the time, the questions and answers time is where we learn a lot. So he's going to talk to us for about 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes. And then you would have opportunity to ask questions, and Prof will pour out more to your specific requirements. So don't go at the end of his presentation. There's more that Prof has to share. Prof Akwaba.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Im. It's my privilege and I'm grateful for this opportunity to share with you all. Thank you very much. Am I assuming Abigail will share? Okay, good. All right. So the role of teaching and learning in leadership. Now, I think I want to commend the organizers for emphasizing on leadership, because we know leadership is a challenge in Africa, and whatever we do, leadership plays a role. So we want to look at and teaching, education is a critical thing for ourselves, our children, our future. So I have considered a lot of questions. I'm trying to adopt the philosophy of those who have gone ahead of us, that more when people learn on their own, they are able to appreciate things better than when things are given to them on the silver platter. So in this presentation, I'm trying to throw a lot of questions to ourselves, and if possible, get some feedback from you for us to consider, because I think that though we have all, those of us who claim to be teachers, have been teaching, I think learners must also be part of the teaching process. And that is what I want to emphasize on, so that we can all engage, because when we all engage, the outcome is better than when it's presented as if there is a guru and others are learning from the guru. That style of learning is outmoded. Now we are all learning from each other. So even the one who is teaching should learn how to teach, and you should learn the process by learning from the people he's teaching, so that he can teach better. So and if the outcome of teaching is leadership, then it means that the one who is sharing should know how to learn from the people he's sharing with. So the first question to ask is, what is leadership? What is leadership? I know you all have leadership in a way. I mean, you have your own definitions of leadership in a way. But generally, okay, so what I'll ask is, what is leadership? I consider this question. Leadership influence? Is leadership a position? And then looking at our situation, like I said, in Ghana, in Africa, we've had leadership as a big challenge. People are complaining about leadership. Some are asking some leaders to be censured, to be sacked. Leadership has become it has always been a challenge. But the point is that do we still have, I mean, I want to ask you, do you have any leader in Ghana that you admire? Do you have any leader in Ghana that you admire? I'll be happy to get your comments to find out from you. I mean, whether you, and if you can type, fine, that would be great. Let me know who you consider to, I mean, a leader you admire. And then probably you tell us why you admire that leader. But coming back to the question, what is leadership? Leadership is actually basically influence. Leadership can be positional, but leadership is not necessarily positional. So as academic person, you want to ask, this question. I mean, what are you influencing? Who are you influencing? So you are influencing your students. You are influencing those who are engaging with. You are influencing parents. You are influencing your community, your society. Universities are there not for themselves. Universities train graduates to go and build society, help society, develop businesses, and come up with inventions and come up with solutions for the society. So if you are there as a leader, then the idea is that you are going to influence your students, you are going to influence the graduates who are going to go out there, and then your position there is a leader. I mean, as a teacher or a lecturer, that is your position. But your position is for influence. It's supposed to help the learner or the students to achieve his or her objective or ambition. Okay. Now, I'll be happy to know if anybody has typed something for my consideration. I haven't seen anything yet.
Yes, Prof. So far, I haven't seen anything yet.
Okay,
guys, we want you to go ahead. Prof is asking the question. Do you have anybody you admire? And Emmanuel Agwechi says, my admired leader is Mr. Koku Wotozo, the principal of Holy Spirit College of Education. Douglas. Yes, so that's the only one we have. Please go ahead, all of you who are on the call. Share with us who is your most admired leader. Prof wants to know. All right, so Prof, I think it will come through. Maybe it's a bit slow, but
all right, thank you.
Let's see how it comes.
All right. Now, I also want to find out when you had the topic, the role of teaching and learning in leadership. What were your expectations? I mean, what were you expecting? So that also is going to help to shape our engagement as we go on. Okay, can we? I'm supposed to be clicking. All right. So okay, good. That's fine. So. Okay. Abigail, can you help me with the slide before this, please? Okay, so basically, let me say that leadership is viewed as an activity that can be exercised by anyone, regardless of status. Learning also applies to everyone. So here, basically, we are saying that anybody can be a leader. Anybody can influence, so to say. And then, at the same time, anybody can learn, no matter your status, whether you are number 1, number 2, number 3, or you are in the middle. You can learn, you can also influence. So leadership is influence, and at the same time, also the ability to learn from others. And now, if I ask you to list some characteristics of good leadership or good leaders, I know some of you will talk about integrity. Some of you will talk about good character, transparency, and all that. So, if these are the characteristics of good leaders or leadership, the question will be: how do we? I mean, we as a people, how do we teach or learn that will help us to develop these good characteristics? So, for example, honesty, integrity. How do we design our learning process to enhance integrity and honesty? And how do you also learn? You that is learning, you, the student who is learning, or the learner, not necessarily a student, but the learner, how do you learn the process of integrity and accountability and honesty? That's the system that we have in our educational institutions, in our homes, in our nation. Does the system help us to learn and also impact on people through the instrumentality of honesty and integrity and all that? So these are questions that I want all of us to be considering whilst we have this this discussion, so to say. Okay, so you can list as many characters or qualities as you want. Now, I've mentioned whether somebody is you admire as a leader. Now, I'm coming to ask this question. What you've mentioned, I think one of our colleagues have mentioned somebody he admired in the educational sector, which is good.
Somebody also, Prof, have said, well, Dixon says John Maxwell. Christopher says, I admire Bernard Avley of City FM for his communication point. Doris says, I admire our great leader Samuel Yim for free and continuous invite for us to team for free leadership lessons. She says, I admire Conrad Kakraba and most Church of Christ preachers who teach unadulterated doctrine. And Mercy, all right,
okay,
Mercy
I think we've lost.
All right, so those are some of the responses you had.
Okay. Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Yim. Here we are. We can mention John Maxwell, Bernard Avler, our own Samuel Yim is so we can. You are mentioning why the person you admire the person, and the question is, what have you learned that has influenced your leadership? So you've mentioned Bernard Avler, his ability to communicate. You've mentioned your principal, his ability to lead and give students guidance and care for them and all that. So how has this learning process, what do you have admired, what you have seen, what you have learned from the person, how has it influenced your leadership characteristics or your leadership skills? So these are the things we are. So we talk about people that we admire, but the point is that how has the things that we have learned from them influenced us personally in our own way? I mean, what are the things that we have learned? So it's very important to see that, okay, I have learned this thing from this person, and this is what it has shaped my life in this particular way, and based on that, I've become a better leader, and hope to improve on such and such an area. Okay. Okay. So the question is, what is learning? I mean, we are talking about learning and teaching. What is learning? The acquisition of knowledge or skills through study, experience, or being taught. Now, acquisition of knowledge or skills. So basically, if somebody is learning, he's supposed to have knowledge or skills through his own study or being taught or experience. And somebody says that experience is the best teacher. I don't know whether that is the best, but there are so many thoughts on how learning takes place and all that. Now, has your learning method helped your leadership skills development? How do you learn? How do you learn? Do you learn by your own self-direction, or you learn by watching, observing, or you learn by listening, or you learn by reading? So what have you identified your own best way of learning? If you have, how have you capitalized on that to develop yourself as a leader, or to be able to influence people? Okay. Now, how can we? What can you say about learning and leadership in Ghana? I know a lot of us have very bad things to say about leadership in Ghana. But the question is, what can you do? What can you do about leadership in Ghana? And the teaching and learning process and leadership in Ghana. The question I'm asking is that, and this will go, is a curriculum debate, and is something that I want to project for national debates. Does our curriculum, our teaching processes in our basic schools, secondary schools, university, in our corporate world, do we have systems in place that will impact on leadership? How is our learning process and teaching process? How is it impacting on leadership? In other words, how is it preparing people for leadership, for influence, for good? So to say, how can we improve our teaching and learning to enhance leadership capacity for learners in Ghana? If you look at there are some key critical skills that will help leadership. For example, critical thinking, collaboration, communication. These are critical skills that enhances leadership. But the point is that, do we have processes in place as a nation to develop critical thinking skills, to develop collaboration skills, to enhance communication and all the other, now that we have digital issues, digital age, what are the things that we have in our system that will enhance the youth in leadership, so to say? Now, the question is, how can reflective learning and teaching affect leadership development in our for us as instructors or learners? Now, I brought the term reflective learning and teaching because my observation over the years is that we hardly reflect on what we teach ourselves. In other words, when you are teaching, you are a teacher, the more you reflect on yourself, the more you reflect on your teaching, the better you are able to teach. And if you are a learner, the more you reflect on yourself, your learning process, the better you are able to learn, unlearn, and then relearn, and all that processes. So it's very important that we bring the dimension of reflection in our delivery, in our learning process. And over the years, I've observed that people who are able to reflect more, myself, I'm better at delivering than just when the system do not really encourage reflection. So these are things that I think that it will help to develop leadership. So the learning process itself should be able to help. So, for example, in a university, you have come out with students. What is a reflection? The reflection is that, how has the student learned? What are the things that the student learned from the campus, within the confines of the university, and how has it helped the students as he went out there to become successful? Is it really? Can we really attribute the success of the students to what he learned on campus, or what? These are the things that we need to reflect and see whether indeed what we are teaching is is leading to the desired outcome. And unfortunately, we've had situations where industry people have complained that graduates have come out from universities and they come in and unfortunately they are unable to deliver. They have to be retrained. They have to be retrained several times, spend a lot of money before they come up to a certain level where they can become very relevant to the organizations. So that this also means that industry will have to engage the learning process, the teaching process, to ensure that the what we desire as a nation can reflect in the outcome. Okay. Can we move on to the next place? Yeah. How does learning help in leadership? How does learning help in leadership? So we are saying that here I mentioned learning environment. So if you're a teacher, the environment you create around you, whether you're a parent or corporate world or you are in a classroom, academic person, whoever you are, learning can take place anywhere. But the learning environment is not just the projector or the blackboard or the classroom, the chairs. Yeah, they are part of the environment. But here we are talking about the atmosphere. The I mean, what is around you as that will create the what we call the spirit of learning. You know, I was having a chat with my colleague yesterday, and he said that they had to sack one of his first teachers. He has a primary school. One of the teachers had to be sacked because she was always shouting on the children. So the children were, some of them were not coming early in the morning because they always wanted to avoid her period. So it means that the learning environment is not helping learners to learn. Okay, so the teacher, the instructor, the learning process itself, the learning style. And Professor John Hattie said something. He said the biggest effect on students' learning occur when teachers become learners of their own teaching and when students become their own teachers. This is a very critical thing to observe. So I'm saying here that teachers must learn their own teaching. That is why in the UK, for example, it is said that you can't teach in a university if you don't have postgraduate certificate in education. I'm sure Ghana is considering that process, and soon it may be made mandatory that you can't teach in a certain level if you don't have the certificate. The certificate is not really what is required. The required is the skill. What is being, but the certificate is a process that can help you, teachers to learn the art of teaching. So the fact that you have the knowledge doesn't mean that you just be a good teacher or you can impact knowledge in the best possible way. So the fact that you're a parent doesn't mean that you learn parenting. I mean, automatically because you're a father or a mother, you can become a parent. You are a parent, but parenting is something that has to be learned. In the same way, teaching is something that has to be learned. So as a nation, we have to emphasize on the importance of teachers learning the art of teaching themselves properly. And then we are saying that students become their own teachers. That is when the students take the responsibility of learning on their own. They are not giving it to the person. Like these days, you meet students and they even want you to prepare everything for them. And I tell my students that you must be seen to be responsible. Yes, I can prepare the slides for you, but at times I don't. I ask the student to prepare the slides. I've given him the test. We can prepare the slides to come and share. So when the student takes responsibility, then the learning becomes much more deeper. It becomes deeper, and then they're able to appreciate things better. Okay, can we move to the next slide? Thank you very much. So it's important you create the right atmosphere. Now, what role does trust play in the teaching and learning process? This is very critical because the teacher is seen as a father figure, the champion, and in our cultural setting, we see teachers like parents. Okay, so trust is critical. So the one who is teaching must ensure that there is trust, and trust can be, gotten or can be earned in so many ways. So the teaching process ensures trust. So here, curriculum development, educational policy makers ensure that the process itself cannot be undermined. So that is where we have evaluation and all those things, which is fine. But the learning process is also something that has to be looked at carefully. So here we look at individual learning, that lumping people together, even in the family setting, not identifying the strength and weakness of each child. So this is also something that the learning process that must be looked at carefully, so that if that is done, it engenders trust for the learner, so that he knows that, look, I'm not that good in this area, but this is what I can do. And I'm not going to be compared to somebody who is far better in terms of certain, skills or capacity, intellectual capacity. So the learning process is enhanced. And you'll be surprised, people that are not doing too well in this kind of, within the Ghanaian environment, at time when you go out there in Europe and other places, because the environment is better, the learning process is more transparent, and it can be evaluated or assessed more transparently, they tend to do better. Okay, so, and the leadership process here is that the child or the learner must be comfortable with the process of learning. And then the teaching process must also be enhanced, so that the teacher must be enhanced, must be empowered to deliver. So if you ask the teacher to teach and you don't empower the teacher, then of course you are not helping the teacher. Okay, so it goes hand in hand. So, and this will affect the outcome, the leadership thing that we want, because our children or those who are learning are supposed to be the future leaders. So if they don't trust the system, because they think that maybe one person is being favored, or the teacher, is complaining or is demanding sex before giving you grades or something, or is punishing you because you of something that is not really there, then of course there won't be trust. So these are things that will affect the teaching and learning process, and eventually will affect leadership. So if the person sees something not too good, it will affect the way his confidence level, the way he's able to understand the issues, the way he judges the outcomes of his results and all that, whether he even trusts, whether you are really marking the scripts properly and all that. These are all things that affect the trust level, and eventually will affect how the person sees himself as a leader, the influence he wants to have. Thank you very much. Can we move to the next slide, please? Now, this is very critical for learning process and teaching process. What does vision play in teaching and learning for leadership? Now, vision is the picture you have for the future. Okay. Now, everybody must have a vision. And there is a story I've mentioned here, the Harvard example, and how is that related to leadership? Now, I'm saying vision because normally we don't encourage our children, depending upon where we are, we think that we don't encourage them to build vision, because maybe depending upon the level where they are learning. But at the university level, we expect each child, each learner, to have a vision. Vision is the picture you have about your future. Now, let me just give you a short story about the Harvard example. It was observed in Harvard Business School that 20 years after graduation, it was observed that about 5% of the graduating class had more wealth than the 95% put together after 20 years. So Harvard was curious. He wanted to know, this is a research, and these are some of the things that universities do, research. They call it tracer studies. So you want to find out how people are doing. And this, we should encourage more of our universities and even primary schools to do. Now, and they observed something very interesting. They observed that the 5% who have more wealth than all the 95% put together, their research indicated that they had written their vision before they even came to Harvard. So they had written down their vision. It's not like it was in their head. They had written it clearly, where they want to go, how they want to get it, and the process they want to follow to get to where they want to get to. They have written it out clearly. So that was directing them. It's not that the other 95% were not successful. They were successful by all standards in the society. I mean, if you finish Harvard, I mean, the six-figure job, salary job is waiting for you. But this 5% had tremendous success. And when it was investigated, they observed that these people had written down their vision and they had a roadmap for where they are going. So that tells you the importance of encouraging our children, our learners, to have to think freely, to after all, nobody's going to arrest you if you think you said you want to be the president of the United Kingdom or wherever it is, or you want to be a pilot or something. So what I'm saying here is that we should encourage more of our learners to think and have a vision. Well, some of them can be fantasy, but let them have the fantasy until they get to a point where they meet reality. But it's important that you have a vision as a learner, and the teacher must also have a vision. Can you imagine if you are teaching and you don't have what is your vision? What do you want to become? What do you want your students to become? You know, I always tell my students that, look, I want you to, when I enter to my classroom, I tell my students, I want you to have A in my subject. And in fact, you have A in my subject. It's up to you to keep it or lose it. So this is a way of encouraging students. And I can tell you that in almost all the universities I've taught here in Ghana and the UK, my student rating has been very, very high, extremely high, if not the best in almost all the institutions I've been to. And it's because you want the students to know that they have something in themselves. They have confidence. They have something. They can achieve something. Last week or last 2 weeks, UPSA came out with their first graduation for their PhD students. 9 students, PhD in marketing. And out of the 9, 4 were my students. I supervised up to 4 of them. Now, I'm saying this to indicate that if you create the right vision, if you have the mind, you tell the student that this is what you can achieve. You let the student have the vision. He will move towards the vision because it is clearly written out. And I tell my students that I don't see why you shouldn't get A in my paper. And the record shows almost all my students do so well in my courses. And it's part of the vision. So the teacher must also have the vision. He must write, communicate the vision to the learner. And the learner must also have the vision that, look, I want to get A in my course. And if the student is made to think that way, he can get it. So, I mean, vision is very, very critical. Very, very, very critical in our delivery of leadership. So you can imagine a student has leadership. I mean, he's what he's thinking of, the influence he's having. If he himself is thinking in the future well, then of course he will be able to influence the way forward. Okay, thank you very much. Can we move to the next? I've spoken about vision and mission. Can we move to the next, please? Now, probably I may end on this slide. Importance of self-awareness and confidence. Now, I don't know whether you can see it well, but I'll be grateful if you can project it better for me, please. Okay, thank you very much. Now, importance of self-awareness. This is a research that was conducted in a study. Now, you will see that by each item, there is a score, a value there. Students' expectations of themselves is 1.44. Classroom discussion is 0.8. Feedback is 0.7. Study skills 0.6. Coordinating corporate learning, individual instructions, and open plan teaching spaces, holding people's back a year if needed, and people mobility, children moving from one community school to the other. Now, it was observed that students' expectations of themselves had the highest impact on their learning outcome. So, how the students expect themselves, what they think of themselves, and that comes about. It can be put within vision and mission statements of individuals and the students and the university or the corporate organization and all that. So they must have something they expect about themselves or the firm or the organization or the family. So families must have vision, corporate individuals must also have vision, and the nation must also have a vision. So, and then the vision must be linked to the self-awareness, what they expect of themselves, how they are going to be judged, how they are going to be encouraged, or how they are going to be, their effort will be measured. So this clearly, this is a classroom example, but clearly it shows that the fact that they are doing corporate learning is good, but it's not as significant as when they themselves know what they think, or self-awareness, what they expect about themselves. Okay, and classroom discussion is good. And feedback is also very important, but significantly, what the learner expects about himself came up top most in the impact of the outcome, learning outcomes. So this goes to emphasize the importance of encouraging confidence and self-awareness and also identify the individual strength for students or learners or our children. They are not all the same. So the ability to be identify which strengths and weaknesses does this person or this child has is critical to the setting the learning process or the teaching process, the learning process to impact on the outcome, which in this context, we are looking at how the leadership characteristics or skills of the person will be enhanced. Thank you very much. Is that the last slide? Okay, I think that this is the last. So essentially, students or the learning process and then the teaching process must go hand in hand, and then the learning process must also have a clear-cut outcome. If we are looking at leadership, what are the characteristics of leadership that we want to have in our children? Like I mentioned, we can list leadership characteristics, good leadership characteristics, honesty, transparency, and all that. How do we ensure that the learning process, the teaching process can deliver the desired outcome? And this is something that we may have to consider seriously on a national level, as well as within our family and then corporate environment. Universities must do what they are doing in order to help society. So, in other words, whatever we do must be, we should be able to have what we call critical thinking and problem-solving skills. So the children are being taught to be critical in their thinking, but it's not just being critical, but they should use that skill to be able to solve problems. So if this is what our objectives are, then the teaching process will be influenced, the learning process will also be influenced, so that the person is learning with the aim of developing skills to be able to solve problems in a society. But if it's just, theories and showing people how to memorize, then it's not really going to help. Okay, so we should find a way of enhancing the learning process by defining the outcomes properly to be problem solving, and then specifically to be things that are defined within the parameters of our vision and mission and national agenda. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so very much, Prof. Lots and lots. I've just been writing and writing and writing and writing. This is really very good. Prof has given us a lot of food for thought, and I like the questioning approach where Prof is throwing so many questions to us for us to think about it. And in fact, he came to reflective teaching and learning. And the point that, Prof, you made, which is so key for me, is the idea is what are the characteristics that we want in our leadership? And is our educational system structured to be able to address this one? Now, since you've been in academia all this while, what is your take on that? Have we, because when you look at, you know, our leadership situation that we have, when you look at from the national level, you know, the political situation where the political parties are all going onto our campuses and trying to recruit their membership from there. The academics are standing by the side, as far as I can see, on their side, doing their job, no interference. We don't want to see no evil, hear no evil. And then they are doing their own thing. The academics are doing their own things. And these people, most of the people who are going into the politics are those who are, yesterday I heard on another platform that, you know, most of these politicians were the student leaders, you know, and they practice the politics from campus. So what is your take, and what can we do practically from all the policy perspectives to be able to design our courses and our academic system to throw out the outputs that we want? Where do we start from?
Thank you, Mr. Yim. I think that we must be very intentional in our approach. So, like we are discussing, we know the good character, the good qualities of, the leaders we so desire. We can list them. Now, I think we must make it as a national agenda, and also right from the primary level to the university level. If you talk about integrity, honesty, how do you develop it? At the primary level, at the secondary level, at the university level. So how do we do it? I think it should be something that it must be a national agenda. And then you are talking about selflessness. We talk about selflessness. How does a child develop selflessness if he can't see selflessness in the house or in the school? So it's a holistic, it's a whole national debate that must be done. And then we probably develop a material that we can intentionally implement. Because if we leave it for chance, like I said about the vision, we must have clear-cut vision on what we want our leadership to be. Well written, planned, so that from a certain level.
Thank you so very much.
We take it up, yeah. Let me quickly say this. It's like Christians, when we sit down, we say that, politicians, they are corrupt, they are this. Look, if you sit down and you don't go in to become a politician, who do you want to become? The honest person if you claim you are the best and good, honest person, go into politics. God will help you. You'll be corrupt a bit, but it's better than somebody who doesn't know the thing at all, who doesn't care about God at all. I'm not saying that people should do things no matter what to be corrupt. No. I've observed. I've been a leader by the grace of God over so many years. When I was in the university, I was a leader. I was the graduate school GRASAC president. I was the SP of my school. I was the Scripture Union president. When I was in Form 5, I was the Scripture Union president. I came to 6th Form, I became the Scripture Union president, and then the school prefect. And I was able to do a lot of changes. I brought a lot of changes because I saw when I went to, in fact, if it were not for the fact that there were certain things, I would have gone directly into politics. But because I had to commit myself to certain spiritual development, so I didn't have enough time to do that. But what I'm saying is that I decided to go into politics on purpose, because I remember I was serving on a certain board in the university, and people had come there to get certain things done. And those of us who were believers said, no, we cannot allow these things to happen because it is not right. They were going to use the university, some money that belongs to the university to do something, an agenda, execute an agenda that is ungodly. But we stood against it. It didn't work. I was in Republic Hall. I was on the committee. I was on University Council, University of Ghana. I was on the council. I was able to influence the students so much to prevent fighting and all those things. So if you sit behind and you say, oh, it will happen, we are praying, you must get in there and get things done. And of course, for us as Christians, we must always be guided by God anyway. So we must be intentional in our efforts.
Thank you so much, Prof. And I find that my internet was going a bit on and off. So sorry about that. Okay, so there are a few comments coming through. I'll go to the comments, but before I was cut off, I was talking about the quote that you made about the biggest effect on student learning occurs when the teachers become learners of their own teaching, and when the students become their own teachers. I thought that was really powerful in terms of you're not just going to just throw ideas to people, but you yourself as a teacher, you're learning more. And when we look at our educational system, what's the gap we have here? Because we have a lot of people who go into teaching as a last resort because there's nothing else for them. So then they go to teacher training college because they didn't go to the university and they force there, or they go there because they will get some allowance to survive.
Allowance.
So what do you say to this? And can we have a kind of like a national process also where actually people who go into teaching because they love to teach and not because What's your take on that?
Thank you, Mr. Im. I think you have answered the question by your comments. You see, and this must be a national agenda. I mean, political national agenda. Because if you go to Canada, the teachers are some of the best paid. It's on record. So the person is going to teach, and he knows that Charlie is going to get something out of it. So I think that I know we are constrained with resources and salaries and all those things, but at least we must make the effort to make teaching a bit more attractive, so that those
we have enough resources for Article 71 people.
Yeah, so it must be intentional. It must really be intentional.
Yeah,
it must be intentional. It's unfortunate that teachers, it's like the child will learn. It's like he will teach when he gets a better job, then he will go.
Yeah,
So I think we must make it more intentional, encouraging, and also the challenge here will be, if the system is not giving you the reward, what do you do for yourself? And that is what those who are passionate about teaching must do. When I used to teach at Odogon Secondary School, and the salary was not good, but I had a passion to teach. So what can I do? I was doing extra teaching. I'll go to one house to the other, go and knock and ask, please, can I come and teach your children primary school? I was a graduate, and they said yes. Oh, please come in. And I will go to the houses where I know they will be able to pay. They won't tell me go and come the next day. So I will knock and ask. I can teach primary school to university level, and I was getting extra income from there. So the idea that everything must come from government must also be discouraged, so that the teacher who is passionate about it must also find a way of supporting himself. So you are a university lecturer. The government is not increasing your salary, and you are complaining about this. What can you do extra to to help yourself.
Yeah.
You see, so I think it's a two-way thing. I mean, until we get to a point where the system can adequately support teachers and lecturers, I think those who are passionate about what they are doing must also find a way of supporting themselves. And this vision thing can help you, because if you have a vision of owning 3 houses as a lecturer, so long as you have that vision, it's an opportunity will come for you to see, and the door will be open for you to get there. But if you don't have that vision, you will sit there and complain all the time.
Absolutely. I like that power of vision. It's so important. All right. So there are a few people giving comments. Let me see. I think Emmanuel says this discussion is dear to my heart. Abraham says, I expected discussion to cover the approach academia taking to ensure curriculum is not static, but dynamic enough to incorporate the dynamic and evolving challenges of society. I think he was answering this when you asked about the expectations. And I think Prof has talked a bit about that. Maybe Prof, you will note it and comment further. How dynamic can we make our curriculum? And Emmanuel said, I play a critical role in teaching and learning. Well, thank you so much. Rebecca Owusu is also here. He says, good evening, CTL. William Dafoe is talking about the leader he admires, Douglas Amoako, the leader he admires. And Emmanuel says, to all levels of leadership, self-leadership plays a critical role in influencing the individual to influence others. Very important. The Harvard story that Prof has shared with us is a powerful indication of how the individual leading himself before coming to Harvard has an effect of what he will do after Harvard. I just love that story also. It's very, very powerful. Charles says, what can the teacher do in a situation where the system does not help the teacher achieve his or her own vision for the learners? Well, I think Prof has answered a bit about for himself, but for the learners, Prof, maybe you will come in there. Let me see. So there are about 2 questions there that I want you to note and comment on it. That's one, and the first one we talked about. Dixon, please, Prof, thank you so much for the great delivery. But in academia, who do you admire and why such a personality? Well, that's why they throw your question back to you, Doc. All right. I think Emmanuel says, in my opinion, the way forward for creating a desired tone of leadership in Ghana as society is holding conversations that questions the status quo, suggest the leadership that we deem influential in our era and beyond. All right, so those are the points there. And Dixon is asking, how can an administrator in a school create an impact in teaching and learning? An administrator in a school. He also has a big role. All right, so Prof, there were a few comments there. Your comments on that, and then we'll take a look, before Prof goes, Prof comes with those comments. Abigail, Kofi, maybe you can share your quick break here so that Prof will prepare and come back with those comments, and then we'll see. Let's go.
We spend a lot of time developing our professions, but we don't spend time developing ourselves. Look, as a leader, as a professional, you have to grow. You have to grow yourself. And to be able to grow yourself, you need to know yourself. A lot of us are not achieving the maximum we can achieve because we have not invested in our personal growth. So we are bringing you this special studies based on John C. Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And we're going to just spend time with you and help you go through the principles that you need to be able to grow your person, to become a better person Because if you become a better person, you become a better leader, you become a better father, you become a better professional. Do not miss this opportunity, as the masterclass is going to be very practical and discussional. It is going to be a limited number of people. So please register now to be part of the program.
Great, thank you so much, Prof. So there were a few comments. I know you. I hope you
Okay, I hope I've gotten them well.
Okay, let's see.
I want to tackle the issue of the administrator influencing. The administrator. Maybe I don't know what role exactly. Of course, you are an administrator, but how influential can you be? If you are the registrar, then of course, I mean, you have a way of helping through curriculum development and empowerment and all that. So the one who is delivering, he will deliver based on the curriculum that have been developed. So if you see some problems in the curriculum, you have to talk to management about it and see, because you as a person cannot, you alone cannot, I mean, significantly change the outcome. So what you can do will be maybe the delivery. I mean, the curriculum at the policy level, if something, I mean, it should be done at that level. Because if GES has asked you to teach, a content, and you think that the content is not relevant and you want to change it, of course, you'll be sacked. So I think there must be a balance where you can influence, especially the implementation, the process at your level through the school leadership management system. You can help through that. But beyond that, I mean, what will come from GES will be policy something. So that can also be something that can be written. You can write if you think that there's the need for significant changes to be made. And who knows? I mean, and like you are bringing on this platform, who maybe somebody is here, the person can pick it up at that policy level, and then if there is a need for something to be done significantly, it can be done. The other one is on the learners. Forgive me, Mr. Eden.
All right. So Charles was like, what can the teacher do in a situation where the system does not help the teacher achieve his or her vision for the learner?
Yes. I hope the vision, because your vision must be in sync with the school's vision. Because your vision cannot be out of, sync with what the school is giving. So first of all, you must align yourself with the vision of of the school. If not, then you don't even need to be there to start with. Now, from what the nature of the question, I presume that you have a very good vision, you want a very good outcome for your learners, but the school itself is not allowing you. Then probably the school themselves, they themselves don't have the right vision. That is why there must be empowerment. I work for British Council. I do consultancy for them on curriculum development and issues on primary education and all that. And it's been quite helpful. Some of these issues that you are talking about, critical thinking, problem solving, those skills, core skills, it has become mandatory for teachers to be taught. So we go through across the country to train people on the teachers, the head teachers and teachers themselves on how to teach critical skills, critical thinking skills, collaborative, those key, they call it 5-6 key skills, which has been observed to be relevant globally. It's been done in UK, Europe, and all the other countries. These are critical skills that has been observed to be relevant to children's development. So that is being implemented here in Ghana. So situations where you can't do anything about it, I'm sorry, you may either leave the system or find a way of going somewhere where your vision will, but first of all, your vision must be in line with your school's vision. Because if your personal vision is not really in line with it, then you find it difficult, you'll be frustrated.
Yeah, yeah, that's really true. All right. So
There's a third
there was
one.
a question about who you admire in academia, and so yeah, and there was
Okay.
also a comment from Emmanuel about, well, he's suggesting how we should have a national conversation and so on, which is what you have talked about. Yes.
Yeah, I admire quite a number of people, but one person that I really admire is Professor Kweku. The name will come. But he was my dean when I was head of department at Central University.
Okay.
Because he's been able to balance his professional life with his academic life and family life. His spiritual is a very, one of the early members of Joyful Way Incorporated. He has a very good Christian values and very good at his work, his publications. Of course, he's a professor, so I've done a couple of papers with him, and he's really is somebody I really admire. So I'm sure by the close of the day, I will remember the other.
Yes, that's it. Always it happens. Now let me bring Sarah, just in case Sarah joining from Geneva, just in case she has some comments. Sarah.
Yes, thank you so much, Prof. For me, what really hit home for me is when you talked about the values, that if we start with the values, we get everything straight. So my question to you is, how do we start it now in Ghana?
Thank you very much, Sarah. I think it has been started by your organization already. What you are doing, you have started it, because this conversation must continue. And if it continues, then we are building people who are ready to, because you see, we must have a certain critical mass, and it will not happen just by 1 or 2 days lecture. It must be intentional. The body of Christ, the Christian community, the churches, we must have this discussion at that level where we are meeting church leaders, we are meeting, for example, Pentecost, we meet the chairman, we say it on purpose, leadership. How do you develop critical leaders to take over? It must be done on purpose. So you have started it, but I will encourage that let's extend it to those, what we call the low-hanging fruits. The ones we can reach, let's do them. The ones we cannot, we leave it for God, and then we pursue. You see, so you have started it, so let's continue from that level where churches, for example, will tell their congregation or their members that please go for MP's role, go for community level leadership, because you are righteous, you are independent, you are good. So what are you waiting for? Who do you want to lead you? If you don't go and lead, who is going to lead? So it must be done on purpose at the level where we can influence, but where we cannot, I think we do our bits, and then but it must be subtle, it must be on purpose, it must be intentional. And I think I'm happy that you have started it anyway.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so very much. All right, Prof. I'm not seeing any more comments. Guys, put your takeaways, your learning in the chat. But at this point, I want to just thank Prof again, and then ask him to give us his closing thoughts. And because I don't see any more comments. So, Prof, share your closing thoughts with us, and then we will call it a day or a night.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aim, for this opportunity to share with you on your platform. I think it's encouraging. Like I said, you have started it. I will encourage you. I can only encourage you to continue. So I think that if we're able to engage and bring more people on board, and share these thoughts with our colleagues, our families. Eventually, it will catch on. People will know the value of leadership, and then prepare themselves well. And then you're also doing a process where people can be empowered. And eventually, who knows? I mean, one day we may get the president of the Republic of Ghana coming through the system. More leaders, we hope that we have more leaders who are selfless in our educational system, in our corporate world, those who face the challenges that this world is putting across us, and then really bring out the Christ that is in us in all our endeavors. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and I hope to engage you further. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof. We really, truly appreciate your coming to the platform and sharing these brilliant ideas. And we hope that, guys, we all have learned something. You've taken your takeaway. Let us go ahead. Let us share the link with other people, and let's multiply the awareness around leadership. This is our mission. This is our purpose, and we want to continue with this. So on that note, once again, on behalf of the team, Abigail, Kofi, and the rest, I want to thank Prof. And we want to thank all of you who have shared part of your Saturday evening with us. We don't take it for granted because we know you have other things you could have done, but you are here to learn because you believe in leadership. So we thank you very much, and we say God bless you. Have a good night, and tomorrow, when God gives us the life, let's try to go worship Him. Let's go find opportunity where we can thank God for what He has done for us. God bless all of you.
God bless you
have
too.
A good night. Prof, you just give us 1 minute before you quit. We would wrap up with you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody.
My name is Eliza.
My name is Elsie.
My name is Ebenezer Tufo.
This is Rosemary Robert Gacy.
We spend a lot of time developing our professions, but we don't spend time developing ourselves. Look, as a leader, as a professional, you have to grow. You have to grow yourself. And to be able to grow yourself, you need to know yourself. A lot of us are not achieving the maximum we can achieve because we have not invested in our personal growth. So we are bringing you this special studies based on John C. Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And we're going to just spend time with you and help you go through the principles that you need to be able to grow your person, to become a better person. Because if you become a better person, you become a better leader, you become a better father, you become a better professional. Do not miss this opportunity, as the masterclass is going to be very practical and discussional. It is going to be a limited number of people. So please register now to be part of the program.